Hello viewers, Mezcal here, welcome to another live stream. I've been trying to get this T-glase filament. Trying to get that to work well on this machine. I seem to be having some sort of blocking problem where it will stop extruding, and on this print it seems to be when it starts to do the smaller stuff. And come on, focus. If you look at that, it just starts under extruding and then it stops altogether. And when I pull the filament out, I've got this chewed up end. So basically, this chewed up piece is stuck in here and it's unable to push anymore because this is bending and scrunching up in the extrusion nozzle, or before the nozzle. So even with the clear nozzle, liquid can flow because when I pull the filament back out, cut it fresh, put it in, it'll flow, and it's not a blocked issue. It seems to be something to do with the way the machine is pushing. I'm not real sure these Bowden type feed mechanisms are the best way to do it. I've even taken up the idea of putting a bit of sponge on there to keep that filament clean as it enters the extruder system. So yeah, I'm sort of nervously waiting on this one to start coming up to the rise part on the hook and see if it fails again. I've turned off retraction altogether because I thought that it had something to do with the retraction function, pulling back on the hot filament and stretching it slightly and then pushing it again and then stretching it and then pushing it, so it's making this chewed effect. I can't think of any other way that I would end up with this chewed appearance. I mean, it looks like somebody stuck it in their mouth and chommed on it. It's really annoying to, have a print looking really nice and then come along and it just starts failing. What was that comment there? Something about a spool? Let me see what that says. Quite tight at the spool. Yeah, that could be a reason. I've got that thing on there holding it on, otherwise it unspools and gets caught. I have been here watching it and feeding it, so I'm not so sure. I mean, it hasn't been tight when it has blocked up, so I don't know, anything's worth considering. It seems to pull and feed okay on this T-glase stuff. I did have problems with it chewing out, and the cog up here just spinning around and chewing out and not feeding on wood filament and on one of the PLA filaments. I'm starting to think I might need to replace this hot end altogether because it's just been problematic with getting blocked up and having to be pulled out and redone. And so I don't know if anyone else has got experience with little hot ends that you can get cheap and swap out onto these machines. I'd love to hear your comment. Where are we? Still all flat. I mean, it prints really nice, this T-glase stuff, but every time it's done skinny sort of riser parts, yeah, thanks for the comment there. Any ideas welcomed. Yeah, I'm no expert with these things either, mate. It's just become a... I suppose I should expand on that, because once this thing goes archived, there won't be any information there for the live chat. So Pot Roast Master has said that it looks tight on the filament spool. So we're just sort of keeping an eye on that and making sure it's loose enough to feed. I'm going to hang around, and like every time this has happened, I have been out of the room. So it's the nature of these things. They take a long time and you sort of walk away. I don't know, it says use a heated bed. Maybe I can use this stuff on this machine here without a heated bed. I think the heated bed's all about getting that first adhesion layer. I can't see any reason why I couldn't just, you know, stick something like a hot block on there and then warm that up for the first get-go, and so that, you know, there's enough thermal mass in there to give it something to stick to, and then as it cools, it should adhere quite well. A rattling noise, where's that coming from? These things are noisy as. I feel like I need to pull this whole shroud off and get in there and tighten things up, because it tends to rattle sometimes. And if anyone has any experience with like removing this Bowden feed style and putting the extruder on the top, is that possible? Can I do that on this machine? Because, you know, I want to use flexible materials and wax-based materials, and you can't push from Bowden feed style up here with the flexible material. The wax one I got just bound up in there. You couldn't even push it more than 5 centimeters before the stuff would just grab the walls. It was sort of expanding as it would be pushed from the back. So it needs to be dragged into the hot end, kicking and screaming, it would seem. That's looking pretty nice there. T-glase stuff has a much nicer appearance than PLA when it's printed. If you look at this, you can see right through it. Look at that. I was on Thingiverse the other night, and I typed in things like kitchen gadget or practical, and the amount of really cool things that people have designed, it's incredible. It makes you feel like, you know, just save these things and keep them as a repository, and, you know, store it in the back of your mind that if you ever needed a shelving hook or ever needed a weird kitchen gadget, they're all there on Thingiverse ready to be printed. I've done a few things like print the maker robot, and that's only to test the printer really, and see how it's performing. That PLA was pretty messy. I can't remember if that was printed on the Malian or the JCar printer. I've got a red robot, and I know he was printed on the M200. That's him there. I think from memory that was the JCar printer. That was the Malian. I'm also thinking of upgrading the firmware in this machine, because as it loads now, it comes up with a Arduino Tech flash, because this thing was being pitched to JCar as a product for them to sell. But yeah, there's probably some advantage to going with the newer Malian firmware in it, because that way I know I'll be able to make it talk to the firmware, there's an app, I've downloaded an app on the phone which will talk through its Wi-Fi. So this thing will tell you what you see on the screen there, give you those functions through the mobile phone. I don't know if it's Wi-Fi direct or it's Wi-Fi through my Wi-Fi. If it's Wi-Fi through my Wi-Fi, that'd be cool. I could do something like set up an IP camera and then, you know, have a print running that I can watch when I'm not at home, and if something goes wrong then I can talk to it and say, hey, stop. The other idea was to put a Wi-Fi switch, a mains power switch, so that you just stop the print running altogether through a power off function. It'd be pretty cool if you could tell it to stop and start. If you're having it running all smooth, and then you could just go, hey, that ran well, print another one. Now that won't work, you're an idiot. Someone has to be here to take it off and prep the bed. How are we going there? It's looking really nice. It's weird that sometimes it will skip a line when it's laying down. What you see here is an example of failed first layers. And quite often in this first layer you'll see it just fails to lay out one line there, and you know, I've got the nozzle extrusion set pushing fairly hard, because these occasionally this will up here on the cog, it will actually pop as the cog is rotating and pushing the filament in. It can't take the feed quick enough, and then you get like slippage, and it'll make like a jolting sound, and you'll see the filament jump back a bit because it's all under tension. Got a message there. Well, what's this? When it gets chewed up, is it at the end of the cycle? If it's turned off before it is finished. No, it fails when it starts to come up to do small skinny stuff, like you can see there. There's still a bit more of that hook to print. It's there we are side by side. And it's failed at lower heights than that in the past as well, like this one here. This one here was done with no retraction, that's why you got this thing hanging off. So I thought it was the retraction function that was chewing it up, and this print running now is also no retraction. It's running slow as well. Of instructions for printing the T-glase and getting a really smooth look about it is to not run it too fast. Hey, who's this guy? Hey Russ, how you going? Tuning, yeah, it's a pain in the ass, that's for sure. What do we got there? Each plastic has its own, yeah. I hear what you're saying on that. Tried a number of other filaments, and some of them have just been total fails. Have you had any experience printing wood on that one, Russ? I had the wood block up so hard that when it finally when I pushed it out from the top end, it sprayed out like burnt coffee and went everywhere. No wood? Yeah, well, don't try it, mate. It's not worth it. What size? 0.4. Well, I think. I didn't get a lot of information with this. This was a sample printer that was... I got it through my head office, sent them out as a... products that were sent to stores that were just sell it as is. It was $100. It had a broken thermistor, and I just replaced the thermistor and got it going. But yeah, Malian M200. You can see them on what do you call it? Hobby King are flogging them. 0 bites. Tried the wood, not so good. Yeah. I haven't had the best success with some of these J-car filaments either. Like this one here. This thing here was instant blockage. Brass colour. That stuff would flow for about... you could get it extruding and just, even if manually pushing it, and then it would just seize up altogether, and then you'd have to pull the head out and push it through from the back. What's this comment here? Need bigger for any filled filament. 4 is almost too small. Okay. Clear filament works well. Is that the J-car stuff, 0 bites? Okay, thanks for that feedback. 0 bites has said, yeah, he's tried the clear filament and it's working well for him on a Vector 3. So Russ, what the hell was that thing that you were making birds' nests with the other day? Gotta run. Thanks for dropping by, Pot Roast Master. We'll see you later. Don't you want to tell me, Russ? You're holding out on me, bro. Were you really trying to make a bird nest? Do you think this stuff would print onto a cold bed, you guys? Can't drop a link here. Check my 3D printing live channel. Okay, no worries, Russ. I'll check your 3D printing live channel, see what that comes up with and shows me. Vector 3 by Eagle Moss, not the best unit. I think all of these printers are made to be a little bit, you know, cheaply done. Bill of materials is as short as possible, and they just pump them out and they let us fiddle around and try and fix it up. How much did that thing set you back, 0? Did the sums. I'm up to somewhere about $550 worth of printers and filaments here, so I feel like I've actually got out of it quite cheaply. given that I got this guy for $100. Grab a link, no worries. Russ is just going to grab a link and see if he can throw one in. Magazine subscription, so you bought it piece by piece, did you? I've always been super shy of those sorts of deals. Yeah. I'm a real kind of, it's got to work on the day. Well, if I buy something, I want it working straight up. I don't want to be buying it bit by bit by bit. Well, we're starting to get to the zone where it's building the hook end, so this is the danger zone. Make sure there's no tension on the filament. Yep, she's all nice and spooled out. The sponge up here's keeping things clean. Feels like it's pulling enough filament. I'm sort of wondering if it comes down to some sort of cooling issue, like it's not cooling, it's not extruding enough material to pull the heat out of the nozzle to stop the plastic letting the heat travel up the filament and making it all squidgy. Zero Bytes is lamenting the idea of buying his printer over 2 years. Strings when it moves around build. Only problem I have is strings when it moves around the build. Yeah, okay. What are you slicing with? Try and mix a little. Andreas Duadmoko. Try and mix a little bit of CNF in your filament. You can get a free sample from Exilva. Oh, okay, Russ, how am I going to pull that from there? Russ has given me the last bits of a YouTube link. I don't know if I can run it from the phone right now. And all of the info from the live feed is going to get deleted as soon as this thing goes into archive. Let me just grab a pen and write that down. Or maybe I could do a screenshot. Alright. Now, where's that link that I've been sent by Russ? Capital A 7 D capital L capital T HRP 481. I'll go and plug that in on my laptop and pull that one up so we can have a look and see what Russ is talking about here. A7D capital L capital T HRP 481, go. Yeah. I don't know what I've done there. I probably typed it in wrong. Alright, this is danger zone. This is where it happens. There's no tension. Filament's all nice and loose. Looking pretty grainy there. Looks like it might be starting to happen now. Yeah. Sorry about the PWM. I've just put a torch on it. Yeah, it's starting now. It's doing that thing. I'm just going to push it from the top here and see if I can make it extrude. It feels really tight, like. Just slipped then. Just manually pushing at the top here on the feed tube to try and make it extrude. It looks like it's just going to stop extruding and do the same thing it always does. Re-slice it, okay. I've started using Cura instead of using Slicer. Thoughts on that would be welcome. Yeah, the colour changed. It's gone whitish. And it's looking like it's not extruding at all. Hopefully I can get to show you this chewed up piece. Oh no, it's starting to... Yeah, it's under extruding though. Yeah, it's going all sketchy. Temperature change. Okay, well it's set. It's telling me it's 235 to 240, between that range. Layer height, change speed. Well, it's always in the same area, so you might be right there. Cancel. Now I've got another busted hook. And let's pull the filament out and show you the chewed end. Every time it's been all chommed up. There it is. Yeah, the hook is cool. I've got them in two places in the house now. Very handy little Where's my scraper gone? There we go. There it is. Come on, focus. Do the focus thing. So I don't know. Yeah, there's a Ave reference if I ever heard one. Zero Bytes just came in with Focus You F star CK. So yeah, super annoying. And it's not the only print that has done that. Like I did, I don't know where he's gone now, but I got the little robot and he sort of stopped at the same height. Geek Group? I'm not talking to the Geek Group, a bunch of wankers. Well, one wanker in particular. What's that guy's name? So, bed preparation. What are you guys using? Tape or glue or hairspray or... I'm liking the look of using a flexible surface. And it's just clamped down and then you pick it up and just bend it and have the part snap off. That looks like a good way to do it. What plastic is this, Russ? This is PETT. Elmer's glue. Purple one thin layer, washes off easy. Zero Bytes uses tape. Wavefront 101 is using Elmer's glue. Russ is talking about a plastic called PEI. Russ is suggesting that a wiring problem might be... What, so you think the height of the position is creating a problem with one of the wires and letting it cool down? Only one way to fix that, and that's rewire the whole thing back to the board, I guess. The thermistor I replaced, I just cut it out and then resoldered up here and put the new thermistor in, and that I had to do that because it was giving zero degrees on the nozzle temp. Yeah. I think I might try the same code over here on this guy. I don't know, I haven't run the T-glase through this at all. And it might be prone to having trouble because I've had PLA in there just a moment ago. Wire problem, something coming loose. Yeah, thermostat. What have we got here? Zero Bytes uses tape. with blue stick seems to work well. Russ is saying kind of looks like something else maybe losing heat. Printing temp, Wavefront's asking printing temp 235. That's the suggested temperature for this T-glase material. The reason I bought the stuff is because the sample I had, this blue sample, worked so well. I was having nothing but trouble with PLA, and I went straight onto the T-glase stuff and it spat that out. I was just so impressed. I went, well, I'm going to buy that stuff. Russ is off. Thanks for dropping by. Let's just do it. I'm going to have to pull the chip that is running the code from this guy. Oh, that's got a bed temperature on it. I wonder if that'll work. Anyone done that? Tried running a G-code that's got heated bed on a machine without a heated bed? Yeah, I think I better call this live stream done and do some more slicing and fiddling around with trying to get some test models that'll put them through their paces. At any rate, thanks so much for dropping by and putting your comments in. Yeah, it's a lot of fun doing these live feeds. It's starting to get a bit more momentum, and you can look forward to me doing live streams pretty much every weekend. I haven't set times for them. I'll just go live. Thanks for watching.